This is the third time I'm speaking here, and I'm pretty sure I could have read last year's speech to you. You would have applauded. You would not even have noticed that it was the same speech, because I read it and I thought it is still okay what I said last year, and it would still be okay to say it now. But I don't want to do this. I would rather do something else, and that is first ask you a couple of questions and then tell you a story. Now first, my questions. Who is from the startup space? Please raise your hands. Okay. Who's from the corporate world? Okay, Dheeraj, you are allowed to raise your hand. You were with Bosch, so that's fine. Okay. Who is from government? Okay, yeah, okay. Foreign governments, I can see that, yeah. Okay, there is another event going on. We know what's happening here. Who is from universities, academia? Okay, quite a big number as well. And NGOs, civil society. I can see Father Joy. Yes, okay. Right. Now, I wonder, all of you have a lot of solutions to provide to many of the subjects that will be discussed during the next 2 days. Who of those who raised their hands are actually busy with implementing the solutions? Okay, Professor Lehmann, what are you implementing? Okay, right. What else can we have on implementation? Okay. Anything on hardware? There were more hands in the back. Who is implementing something? Okay, recycling of water, yeah. Okay, perfect. Now, there is tangible activity on the ground, and I did this exercise because I was wondering, and this is the last question, who is feeling a sense of urgency in what they're doing? You just raised your hands. Okay, right. Not too many somehow. That's interesting because I feel a strong sense of urgency in what I'm doing, especially when I'm talking about smart cities, when I'm talking about water scarcity, carbon credits. So I think it's really high time to do something. And I want to give you a story. Now, the story goes about 4 people, and these 4 people are called everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. Now, a very important task, like, let's say, creating smart cities, was given to everybody. And then everybody said, let somebody do it. And then somebody said, anybody can do it. And at the end of the day, nobody did it. Now, talking about smart cities makes me always think of this story because, yes, anybody can do it, but nobody does it. Whether you talk about saving water, about saving energy, about waste management, and I can go on and on and on, not many people are really concerned about implementation. So that's my first point. And this urgency, I mentioned water scarcity already, we have the ticking carbon clock, we have increase in world population, we have increase in industrial production, in consumption, which is a good thing, but there's also a demand for clean energy, which is rising. So a lot of things which are positive can also turn out to be negative. And Germany is somehow sitting in the same boat as India. We are better off because we are less densely populated. And we're actually doing a lot to increase renewables on electricity production, to reduce greenhouse gases. Of course, we also could do more, but at least we're doing something. And also, I need not go into smart cities and all that, because Sumit mentioned it already. But let me talk a little bit about the German companies from a different angle. they have solutions for many things, but they're also doing something on the home front, and that is they want to go carbon neutral. Like Bosch is investing a lot of money to do so by next year. Siemens is doing this until 2030. ThyssenKrupp is going that way. So there is a lot of awareness that something needs to be done. And let me mention one thing which Sumit has not mentioned, and that is German investment and contribution of Bosch to the Kochi airport. Kochi airport is actually the only and first airport in the whole world which is carbon neutral. And this reduces the carbon footprint in India by 3 lakh metric tons, and this is the equivalent of planting 3 million trees. And I think this is the way to go. Okay, this is an airport, but you can also apply this to the cities. And aligning industrial and environmental interest, I think this is what benefits the industry, the companies, and it also benefits the cities. So cities and citizens, this is the same. If the governments are dragging their feet, and I have the feeling they're dragging their feet anywhere, the citizens are those who have to do something. Because after all, it's our place where we live. And only look into what's going on in our home, in our backyard, and not beyond. I think this is the wrong thing to do. We have a lot of support for environmental parties, green parties in Europe. We have the Friday for Future movement, school kids taking on the streets every Friday to remind the government that something needs to be done. So this sense of urgency, I think there are a lot of people, especially young people, to feel this. Now, to create this momentum and to make sure that something happens, I think this is what is important. And let me finish by reading something to you. This is my advertisement pitch now. This is from a book by Harini Nagendra. Many of you may know her. She's a professor for sustainability at Azim Premji University here in Bangalore. And she's writing about cities and canopies. And I can only recommend this book to you. And she writes, most of our grandparents were born in the villages of India. Most of our grandchildren will be born in its cities. The entire world experiences a massive shift towards cities, and India is very much a part of this trend. 1 in every 3 Indians already lives in cities. In 20 or 25 years, 1 out of every 2 Indians will live in cities, with the total population in cities more than doubling in a short span. This fast growth of cities puts incredible pressure on the country's ecology. As forests disappear, rivers and wetlands shrink into thin, polluted slivers, and vistas of green and blue turn into horizons of concrete. Go to Wildfield, that's where you can see that. But India's cities are not divorced from nature. In fact, many of them are now greener than their surrounding areas. Over centuries, they have been assiduously planted with trees, greened and nurtured by successive kings and commoners. Now, the kings and commoners are gone. I would say the citizens are there, but what they did and what Gustav Krumbiegel did, the gardener of the Maharaja, I think all of us can do it. So take this little quotation with you when you go into the deliberations and make sure that something gets done, finally.